Well, let's get started. My name's Dr. Lee Osler. We'll do this formally this time. I'm in the state of Washington, and I have with me tonight as a co-host Dr. Ray Dixon from Phuket, Thailand. I mentioned earlier he's in the state of bliss. I'm in the state of Washington, and that's okay. Dr. Dick Walker will be joining us shortly, as well as Dr. Nelson, Charles Nelson, and we'll introduce them when they get here. This is the Redox 5 broadcast. We excuse Dr. Maureen Hayes, who is with her ailing father who's in the hospital, so we wish them well and Godspeed. Jim and Ann Glenn are visiting family in Salt Lake, and so we trust that they're enjoying their family while they're gone. We are all independent associates of the ASEA Global Company, marketing a cellular health product globally. At this time, I think we're in 34 nations, if my memory serves me right. And as such, we do not make any claims to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease. And so we will be talking in somewhat special couched terms tonight, not discussing diseases per se, but more about cellular health. And so again, while we're waiting, I want to bring Dr. Ray Dixon in, and we can begin the conversation here. Dr. Ray, would you maybe just give a few moments? Hang on. Go ahead and take it. I'm going to go mute and answer Dr. Walker's
Okay.
here.
Okay, everyone. Welcome to this Redox 5. It's my great pleasure to be once again joining the team. It's great to be here, and it's wonderful to be able to share the cellular health message of redox signaling. Redox signaling molecules, of course, were only recently discovered, 1998, not very long ago, with a great deal unraveling in the meantime. It's a monumental amount of research taking place at many universities across the world. Redox signaling molecules, first one discovered, nitric oxide, regulated blood vessel diameter and blood pressure and all manner of other consequential cellular functions, and was a revelation at the time. Since unraveled, though, is that not only was there nitric oxide, there were many other redox signaling molecules that were equally profoundly affecting the DNA and the genome, and ultimately affecting every single function in human cells. So that's a pretty big statement. That's everything. So it doesn't matter whether it's the neurons of your brain or the hepatocytes of your liver or the cardiac myocytes of your heart muscle. They are all being regulated by redox signaling molecules, which in turn are regulating the genome, which in turn is regulating everything, all functions. Healthy cells, healthy you, and sick malfunctioning cells ultimately unravel into whatever disease process you are labelled with. It doesn't matter what that condition is, or conditions, because many people have more than one. It is sick malfunctioning cells collectively that give you that particular disease process that then result in all of your symptoms and signs of your condition and your malfunctioning. So we're here sharing, as Dr. Lee said, ASEA Redox, because this is the first company in the world that's actually been able to stabilize these molecules outside the human body and provide them to us in a supplemental form, a bio-replenishment drink coming in the blue bottle, or indeed in a gel form, of which we now have 3 actually, that we can use externally as another way of introducing the effects of those redox molecules. Now, the key point, before we go back to Dr. Lee here, is why do we need these redox molecules if the body naturally makes them? The body does make them in the mitochondria of all cells. There's approximately 100 trillion cells in a human body, with 1 billion dying every hour and having to be replaced. But we peak produce these molecules around puberty, healthy puberty. I say healthy puberty to remind everyone, because if you are born premature, or in fact, if you're a sick child, and we have plenty of them, you already are in imbalance in the redoxime and potentially deficiency, obviously, in certain of those redox signaling molecules. But from healthy puberty, even the rest of the population decline in the availability of these trillions of molecules made per second, per minute, per hour, per day. So we're all in decline with age. And it's now, in fact, considered that the predominant aging process itself, let alone disease processes that come with age, are directly related to the deteriorating redoxome, which I would fully agree with. So the only way, and the good news is, we can replenish them, and that is in the redox signaling molecule supplement of ASEA in the blue bottle. Use lots of gel, and we can literally compensate for that. And when we do, miracles happen, because the body is now finally being replenished with what it's no longer able to optimally keep at the right levels and in the right balance. It's always been fascinating to me in the background that it's extraordinary how the body has the ability to heal itself. It really is extraordinary, and it's a wonder to behold. I watched that for many years with the addition of materials like vitamins, minerals, other antioxidant, plant-based products, homeopathy. You know, when the body gets what it needs to heal, it's quite remarkable at what it's capable of doing. And it's fascinating that the body has everything it needs to heal if it gets the materials. If it doesn't get the materials, you will malfunction and you will become diseased and sick. That includes redox signaling molecules and balance. So it's fascinating that the body can have the ability to heal anything pretty much. But if it doesn't have the correct redox balance or the correct materials, you can't heal in that area, and you can ultimately get sufficiently unwell and sick that you will die. So the remarkable joy for us is that we get to see the reverse of that, other than death, of course. So we can see the remarkable effects of people being extraordinarily unwell and malfunctioning. And when the lights come on with the addition of these materials of redox signaling, we get to watch and experience the joy of the magic of the effects and the journey which then takes place before our eyes. So this brought me out of retirement. I'm very glad and happy to be out of retirement and travel the world sharing it. So back to you, Lee.
Well, Ray, you talked about bringing you out of retirement. What
Mm.
was it that attracted you? I mean, why would
Yeah.
you, give up the leisure life in Thailand to take this
Well,
on?
my humble opinion is there's no such thing as retirement. You only retire if you want to retire from something you don't want to do anymore. Uh, I'd retired from the all day in the consultation room, Lee, which you know that journey, which is a wonderful practice life, but it's very confining. You're limited on your holiday times and your travel times, and you're limited by so many hours in every single day, pretty much 6 days a week. So I I kind of was a little tired of that. So when I came, but my greatest love has always been the natural healing journey, always since I was 18 and cured by a naturopath with my asthma. So I'd spent my whole life, and I should say probably continue to do, but I kind of have found what I was looking for now. That's what brought me out of retirement. There was no universal herb or universal vitamin or supplemental component as universal as this. It was, you've heard me say this before, Lee, where I kind of was always looking for a holy grail. What else is there? What else might I not know about that will be profoundly beneficial to the human body? And I never really found that one thing which was as universal as a Redox is. And so much so that when I kind of retired in 2017 to come and live in Phuket, Thailand, I'd kind of given up looking because I really didn't think there was such a thing. I had been told about it in 2015, but I didn't pay a lot of attention. I was very skeptical. I hadn't heard of the redox signaling molecule evolution. Uh, so when I did finally pay attention, looked at the science from Dr. Gary Samuelson, the atomic medical physicist that stabilized the molecules, I thought, wow, there might well be something to this. And by Jove, once I started to use it and share it, the conviction was through the roof and has never changed since. So it's a joy. My greatest love is the healing journey for everyone, all of us, and I get to enjoy participating in that now and presenting and educating. I lectured for 17 years. I love teaching. So it's fulfilled all of my dreams, to put it mildly.
So you said something about natural healing.
Mm.
That's really kind of your background.
Yes,
You've not been in the allopathic, health model.
yes.
So from a natural healing point of view, how does this layer, or how does this lay on to your background in that regard?
Well, in naturopathic philosophy, it's all the traditional philosophical model was vitalistic. And what that means is that the body has all the tools it needs to heal itself. Vitalism is that it might begin with an energy source. That energy source is looked upon by certain of the natural healing philosophies, be it Chinese medicine, be it Western naturopathic. That vitalism, or that energy source, is somewhat looked at, and still is, as a metaphysical source of energy that we haven't yet scientifically been able to narrow down. For example, the yogis in Ayurveda of the Indian traditions would refer to it as prana. That's why you hear about that in your yoga background. The Chinese medicine background philosophy would look at it as qi or ki. Vitalism, energy, is the other terminology coming from the naturopathic Western traditions. So it's all healing is from that level. If the body has optimally what it needs, it can heal itself. You can't heal anything if you haven't got the prana, the chi, or the vital force. So this is where all healing begins. So anything that participates in the downstream, and that's a term of yours, Lee, anything that participates in the downstream journey of healing from there must be connected to that vital life force connection point.
And that's
So
that's the
it's
pathway gene connection, isn't it?
correct. Everything will pass through the genes. It has to. Everything passes through the genetics. But even above the genetics, as you and I would agree, is the redoxon, the redox signaling molecules. Ultimately, the best way I think we can convey this to the audience is there's messenger upon messenger upon messenger that moves down through the cellular function to control and regulate everything. But there are certain ones that are more critical than others. So we've got neurotransmitters, we've got hormones, we've got prostaglandins, leukotrienes, we've got redox signaling molecules, we've got genetics and genes, we've got messengers, NRF2, we've got multitudes of those. They're all messaging to keep the orchestra of that cellular function at its optimum level, which gives us our well-being. So this was a natural connecting point for me. That's why it became universal, because as you get up to that absolute energy source, you're getting to the ultimate source of all things to do with healing in the human body from a natural healing perspective. Chiropractic, innate intelligence, has the ability to regulate everything, but it still needs to get what it needs, and and your body needs to have the removal of those subluxations that are impeding nerve flow, nerve pathway, nerve information, nerve messaging, which is the two integrative systems in the human body is the nervous system and of course the endocrine glandular system. So really, it was just a no-brainer once I realised that wow, this is at the pinnacle. No wonder it actually is so universal. So for me, it's very, very exciting, and of course, it's ultimately fulfilling for my dreams of healing and the benefits of healing for one and all.
I picked up on your comment about everything goes through the genes, and I think that's something that many people miss. Going through the genes means we're dealing with proteins. Ultimately, that's what DNA is, and that's what it controls, and that's what it regulates. All the regulatory mechanisms, or most of them in the body, are dependent on proteins and how they work and how they're electrically combined and so forth. And so that's really kind of the message or magic of Redux. I don't know, Dick, if you're ready to jump in, we'd love to have you join the conversation. We can get Dr. Nelson perhaps on another night if that's better for him. But we've been talking about natural healing, natural solutions. The body knows what to do if it has what it needs. And Dr. Ray just made the comment that everything passes through the gene. So we're talking about the effects of lifestyle. We're talking about the effects of redox signaling on genomic expression, if you will, the genome, and that the redoxome sits beneath or above that, whichever orientation you want to say. It's upstream to that. Could you maybe elaborate on that so that those who may not be familiar with this understand that?
Yeah, I think I can. We're talking about natural healing. I don't know that there's such a thing as unnatural healing. The body knows exactly what to do. It's really above that is
that's where we say touche. Sorry to interrupt, but that needs to be yellow highlighted. Unnatural.
I heard that term a couple of times, and I'm thinking, what the heck is unnatural healing?
I got to write that one down. That's a good one.
That means, though, Dick, that the natural therapists of the world lay claim to the number one source of healing. There's only natural.
It should be natural paths then.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's really important for people to understand that when your body heals, it's because of things that your body is doing. And when it doesn't heal, it's because of things your body's not doing. And this signaling part of the whole equation is so absolutely important to make sure that the right things are being done at the right time. I was just working on a PowerPoint and, trying to express the importance of we have some great science showing that ASEA influences the transcription factor NRF2, which controls the production of glutathione, our body's master antioxidant, and how important it is, or how Dr. Nelson just got on, and how much better it is for your body to control the amount of antioxidants that it needs at any particular time through the natural signaling mechanisms that are there versus, taking a bunch of exogenous, meaning that's a fancy word, meaning you take it in a pill, that you don't really know how much your body needs at a particular point in time. And you could take too much or you could take too little, and how important it is to let your body decide how much messaging it needs to increase the glutathione production through the NRF2 pathway. And so it's just really important to understand how that all fits together. And looks like we've got Dr. Nelson on, the camera's on, and I can, wrap that up. But yeah, it's all about gene signaling. If there's anything that's going to happen in the body from the standpoint of fixing and repairing, it's going to involve DNA transcription, it's going to involve protein production, and it's going to involve, as Leah so aptly talked about, hormesis and being in the sweet zone with regards to oxidative stress. So Lee, we've got Dr. Nelson on. Dr. Nelson, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself if you've got your looks like you've got your microphone on and everybody's waiting to hear how you got into ASEA, why you're in ASEA, some of those things.
It looks like we finally got things going on this end. I'm Dr. Charles Nelson. I'm living in Walla Walla, Washington. I practice in Tri-Cities, which is about 55 miles away from there. I commute back and forth. I am an ex-skeptic. When I was first introduced to ASEA, I basically blew the person off who was telling me about it. And a year or so later, they came back again at me. And I said, all right, I'm going to give it a try. I'll give you, I think it was 3 months. And if it does what I want it to do, then I'm in. If it's not doing what I want it to do, then go away and leave me alone. And what I wanted was for my ringing in my ears that had been there since Vietnam days to go away. And so I got on the program, and guess what? It didn't go away. But so many other things happened that were good that I thought, I'm staying with this. I had high blood pressure numbers, and the ones I took the last 3 days have been down the 120s over 60s, no medications. I had an irregular heart rate for about 50 years also, which disappeared. I was taking 16 ounces of the molecules a day for the 3 months. And I found if I drop well below 8 ounces, it'll tend to come back. If I keep it up above 12, there's no problem. I've had improvement in my skin in several areas. I've had improvement in my balance. I've had a couple of very severe cases of vertigo in years past that left me with not the best balance in the world. And now I don't really have a problem with that anymore. Some very mundane things like that, which can be important throughout a person's day. I don't know, mixed company. I can tell you some of my old man problems disappeared. I don't get up at night to go to the bathroom anymore at all, ever, even if I drink something too late at night. I just don't anymore. And I'm not on medication for that anymore either. So I've been super pleased with this, and I expect great things to happen down the road, even with my ringing in my ears.
How long have you been on, ASEA?
I've been on it now just over 2 years.
Great. Okay.
Yes. I've been actively working with the business part of it just a little over a year now.
All right.
Yeah.
And have you, what I saw in the beginning, I didn't think I had any major health problems, but a whole bunch of nagging issues I'd forgotten about got better as I got on the products and kept taking it. But what I noticed is that a lot of people that I'd been trying to improve, patients and friends, and not my ER patients, but it's funny. If you're a doctor and you're interested in helping people get well, not just treat their immediate problems, people sort of come to you and say, "Hey, what can we do? Nothing's working." And I accumulated a bunch of people that were like that. Some of them became ASEA associates, but what I found was that a lot of these kind of troublesome things that we really didn't know what was going on, or even if we did, and Western medicine wasn't helping, that it responded. These health challenges responded to Redox. We were just having a conversation about what the body can do naturally in regards to overcoming, health challenges if you
Yes.
give it something that can send the right messages. And I think that's what you're talking about here is the right messages. What have you seen? Have you recommended it to a number of people and seen some amazing things happen?
I have used it. Well, I did use it fairly extensively where I'm practicing. I don't have my own practice. I work for another company, and they very politely asked me to stop using it. So I have, but before they caught on to what was going on, I used it, especially the Redox Gold. I was totally blown away by that. I've used it for migraines. I've used it for shoulder problems, low back pain, knee pain. Abdominal pain when we proved it wasn't appendix. Just almost any kind of pain seems to really respond very well to it. I'm just very pleased with that. And that seems to be, what brings people in to urgent care centers, pain and, injuries mostly. Sometimes mostly illnesses, but in the summertime, it's injuries. And it was very good while I'm using it there and was able to. I'm actually in the process now of trying to find a place where I can open an office and get back into taking care of people without having to throw drugs at them all the time.
Yeah, that's a whole different mindset, isn't it? I know Ray has gone through that. I don't know, Charles, if you know Ray, he's in Thailand. He was trained and practiced his whole career in Australia. But he's one of our stalwarts who understands the whole natural medicine, natural healing angles on this. And so, it's kind of interesting. There seems to be a theme here, gravitating towards letting the body do its work the way it was designed to.
Well, I've always been oriented that way. The first 25, 30 years of my practice, I tried to do a lot of what you call lifestyle medicine, helping people change their diets and their exercise and so forth. And I had forgotten, I guess, that the body heals itself in order of importance, and it took me a while to realize that's why I'm having some results in some areas, but the hearing problem wasn't going away because it's not that important yet. But no, I tried to do that and split my practice and use standard medicine for people who wanted it, and to guide people in lifestyle changes who would really like to stay away from the drugs as much as possible. Had some very, very interesting cases over the years with those people.
Great.
Dick, now you've done a lot of work in nutrition as well. That's again a part and parcel of this theme. What would be your thoughts there on the nutrition angle?
I have told, I've I guess pared it down as brief as possible. I've been telling people for, well, since I started practice in '76, to keep your food in as near its natural form as possible. That's what I've come down to as a bottom line for many years now. And I hear that said in other ways nowadays, but I don't think it's any simpler than that. The more a person eats of the food in its natural form and drinks water only, they're going to do very well.
Yeah, along those lines, I tell people if you know, start reading the ingredients of whatever it is you're putting in your mouth. And if there's a
Yeah.
word in there you've never heard of or don't understand, or it's got more than, 10 or 15 letters in it, then it's probably not something that was meant to be consumed by human beings. So I
Yeah.
agree with you there.
I have an acquaintance who says if it has a list of ingredients, you shouldn't eat it.
Yeah, you don't pick up a tomato or a potato and see a list of
Exactly right.
ingredients, do you?
Exactly right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Hey,
And
Dick.
factoring into that too, guys, is also that the closer to Mother Nature makes it, the better. But the other factor, unfortunately, in our times, is with the overproduction and the insecticides and pesticides. You've not only got a depletion of the nutritional status of the natural source, you've also got contaminants and toxins which increase demand for nutrition. So we're getting hit pretty hard. And if I can just make one point regarding Dr. Nelson, and it's great to meet you. And isn't it a sad thing that you can have something that is so beneficial for the people right in front of you, but because of the way modern medicine is structured, that you're directed not to use that product in that clinic or in that consultation room. That is an indictment on all the world, as far as I'm concerned. And it's common not only in the US, in Australia, where I'm from, Canada, wherever else, and even Thailand, where I live now. That grip on what can be used or can't be used based on insurance or the medical model controlled by big pharma is an absolute tragedy of the world.
Yeah, and
Right.
I had similar problems when I first started too. I was at one point in time told that if I didn't stop talking to people, and I wasn't talking to people in the emergency room, I was talking to people outside. Yeah, they had been patients of mine in the emergency room, but not necessarily for what I was talking to them about. But they threatened to withhold my paycheck, and I said, "Well, listen, I think I've got an attorney that needs to talk to you," and they backed off pretty quickly because they didn't really have any grounds for that. Because like you're alluding to here, you're in a healthcare facility, you're trying to get people healthy, and you're telling me I can't talk to people about a technology that I'm pretty darn certain can help them to get healthy naturally. Yeah, yeah,
Well, I was never convinced. Their argument was they had liability concerns, and I said, "Well, everything we do here has liability attached to it. This happens to be something that's non-toxic and isn't going to cause a problem." Well, they
Mm,
wasn't gonna. They didn't want to hear it.
mm, mm.
yeah. Well, we're super glad to have you on, and we're super glad you didn't give up, and you told them to shut up and sit down, and you were going to proceed with something you knew was going to help people.
And
Well, I'm
mind you,
certainly
I
trying
think
to.
I think that list, Dr. Nelson, of the ails, if we can put it that way, that you had, and the results that you've experienced, again, is astounding. They're not it wasn't a small list. And it's interesting you also mentioned regarding the tinnitus, which is the ringing in the ears or the noises in the ears, which it was your preference to have a result which I well understand because it has driven people to suicide in the past. But it's interesting what you made in terms of a scaling of how the body sees that's importance to its maximum health and survival. It's always been interested in uh, in our healing journeys and in the natural. Yes, there is no unnatural, Dick. Healing journey. That there's a priority scale in the human body. It's fascinating to watch, and it seems to know what needs attention before something else. And we see this a lot when people experience their redox journey, and that's what you're literally, or you are still in the experience of. But particularly those first 3 to 6 months is when we see remarkable things happening. And it's always fascinating which layer of the onion is getting peeled off first, what seems to change first. And not surprisingly, people sleeping better and feeling more energetic seems to come in pretty early. You'd expect those as fundamental signs. You can't measure that, but as a fundamental sign of the body's actually recovering or something's taking place. But then it was just interesting, your changes you mentioned with your blood pressure. That's pretty quick. I think your journey was a little slower than that, Dick.
Yeah,
You mentioned your high blood pressure and how long it was before yours normalized. That's a fascinating story.
yeah, for me, it was a couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
taking 16 ounces a day. I don't know what you were taking.
I wasn't taking that much initially. Back when I started, nobody was taking that much, and I gradually started realizing that a lot of people needed more. I know that was an experience kind of for my wife too. She started taking this for she had chronic fatigue, aches and pains, a number of different things, and some of that got better. I think she started with 6 ounces a day, 4 to 6. But when she ramped it up, she talked to Gary Samuelson, the initial science guy at ASEA, and he said, "Well, you're just not taking enough." She said,
Mm,
"What's enough?" And he said, "Well, I'd try 16 ounces a day." And when she bumped it up to 16, she had some
mm,
pretty amazing results. So,
yeah.
yeah, a lot of people just need more or they need
Huh?
longer.
Right. I
That
agree with
was
that wholeheartedly.
that was one of the questions asked earlier in the chat. It's like, how do you know how much to take? I don't know, Dr. Nelson, Dr. Walker, do you want to chip in on that? And I will say something here just from logistics is Dr. Dixon is going to be leaving us here in just a few minutes. I don't want to push you out the door, but if he disappears, he's not being rude. He's got another event that he's taking care of. So we do appreciate you being with us, Ray, and helping us tonight. So
yeah, thanks for
so
being
back
on.
to the titration amount, like how much, how do you know? How would you address that to people?
You want me to go first?
Sure, go ahead.
I've been around longer. I start everybody for the first day or two at, 2 ounces twice a day. If people are cautious, then, they can take 1 ounce twice a day just to kind of see how their body's going to respond. Most people don't respond dramatically. Some people will have an adjustment reaction where they'll feel fatigue and malaise, and some people call that a detox. I'm not so sure that it's a detox. I think it's just their body getting used to having additional redox molecules and starting to focus energy on the natural repair processes, and that does take energy. When your body is healing, that takes a lot of energy, and oftentimes
Hmm.
you don't have a lot of energy left over for other things. But we see that in conventional illness treatment as well. If you've had surgery, what's the first thing we tell people? Go home and rest. Because your body needs to focus on resting and repairing as opposed to, going out and working or doing whatever else you were going to do. So a lot of the in initially, I'll start people at 2 to 4 ounces, and then have them bump up to 4 to 6 to 8 ounces, really depending on how serious their problems are. The sicker they are, the more symptoms of disease that they have, the more I recommend, because they need more signaling. They've got more sick cells that need to either be repaired or eliminated and replaced. So, I'll titrate them right up to 8 and on up to, 12 and 16 ounces in that initial 4 to, let's say 2 to 3 months. And there are people that won't respond until they get to 16 ounces a day. A few people won't respond until they take even more than that. But I think what the more important, or at least as important as the total dose, is that people take it consistently, and they take it at least twice a day. And if you're going up above 8 ounces a day, then divide that up into 3 and sometimes 4 doses. I don't think it's smart to take it any more often than every 4 to 6 hours, because you're sort of wasting product if you take it too frequently. You need to give your body time to respond to that dose before you give it another dose. And that way, it's a little bit similar to drugs, but it's not a drug. But you got to take it consistently. You've got to give your body a consistent supply of redox signaling molecules that it can now depend on to improve the cellular signaling and your cellular health. And then later, after your body has really kicked in and things are starting to improve, and the results tracker is a great way to follow that. Once things are improving, if you want to, you can slowly titrate back. And the company has really found out in some of its trials that 6 to 8 ounces is sort of the sweet spot for long-term maintenance, but it definitely may not be enough in the beginning for your body to start, for you to start noticing that your body is repairing. The body starts repairing at an improved rate as soon as you start this, but most people don't acknowledge that until they actually feel different. And that can lag behind the actual physiologic and cellular improvements by weeks to even sometimes months. But I tell people, don't pass judgment on this until you've been on a good dose for 4 to 6 months. And I would say that 90+% of people in that time frame, with consistent, consumption, and with the realization that they may need to titrate up their dose in the beginning, you're going to have a really high rate of success with people that you put on this product. But it's not a one size fits all. But consistency and longevity is really important. And what I've noticed is, I've been on for almost 12 years, maybe a little bit longer, is that my body continues to respond in different and good ways, things that I never thought would happen. I'm 77 and working on going 78, and I can work circles around some people that I know that are much younger. And my wife always looks consistently younger than I do, because she's more diligent with the skincare. But most people don't believe I'm as old as I am. And that's fine with me, because the reason I started taking this in the beginning was to maintain my ability to do stuff, to be active, to do the kinds of stuff I love to do. And although I'm not up to climbing Everest again at almost 78 years old, but I can still hike and bike and really enjoy life. And I suspect I could go to Everest if I really put my mind to it, but my family wouldn't let me do it anyway. So,
Dr. Nelson.
Well, it's sounds like you're saying it's feels odd to be the same age as some of these old people, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Dr. Nelson, how do you blend in a conversation of lifestyle? You said it earlier in your career that was a main focus, and now this. I've run onto some people who kind of have the idea that I'll just drink this, and I'm being a little facetious, but that sit on the couch and watch TV, watch other people exercise, and I'll just drink this and I'm healthy. So, what's the real truth there to you?
Well, I've emphasized diet actually before I ever started medical school. I used to get teased, in fact, in class, because I was I think the only vegetarian there. They would always ask me, "Well, what are you today? Are you a carrot, or what are you? Because you are what you eat." And I have just always emphasized that diet is king and exercise is queen. And if you want a kingdom, you got to have both of them. And that when you're changing from a heavy animal source diet to a vegetarian whole plant diet, you're going to have some body changes that may be uncomfortable. I've had patients who wanted to go whole hog on it right away, and they they paid a physiologic price and began to take advice to slow it down and make the transition over a period of maybe 2 or 3 months rather than 2 or 3 weeks. But it's as simple as that. The diet and the exercise is a thing. We have more and more, I think, in our society what I call overconsumption of undernutrition, and it takes all the energy of our body to defend us against those toxins that we're taking in, and there's precious little left for healing. And when you begin taking something like Redox, the molecules, adding these fresh, high energy electrons to your system, now you've got something that's extra, above and beyond. But if you also change the diet and get the toxins out of your diet, what an amazing change! I personally, like you, I feel so much better, younger. I can put I do 12-hour shifts with young people, and I see them complaining towards the end of the day about being tired, and I'm still going strong. I don't have a problem with it. When I'm done working, 2 or 3 of these shifts or 4 a week, I go home and I start having fun on my tractor. I just have a lot of energy, and I've seen people over the years who've had that same experience. But prior to the Redox, it was basically diet and exercise, cleaning up their diet and giving their body a chance to actually heal in a more efficient and natural way. But again, adding these redox molecules, what a game changer. What a game changer. What I'm telling people, though, the few I've had an opportunity to discuss this with, is you cannot uh, continue sitting at home watching TV, if I can be so blunt, drinking beer and not do anything and expect these molecules are going to make you a different person. Probably it's not going to happen that way. There's a few other things you need to do to put your body in a more favorable situation for these molecules to work. Yeah.
Dr. Ray, before you leave, let us
Yeah, look,
know your thoughts on these.
yeah, I think there's two things that have been sort of unraveling in the last 20 minutes. Let me talk first about the amount or the dosage. The critical issues, and Dick said this well, it's all about imbalance and potential deficiency. And the older you are, the more deficient you are, or imbalanced potentially, and the sicker you are, the more diseased or malfunctioning your cells are suffering from, the more you require. So both they're my first two questions with people when I'm trying to get an estimation of the likely amount that they will need optimally. There's no blood test, people. There isn't one. So we don't know exactly, but we have a lot of experience. And with Dr. Dick, 15 years, and he led the way with this from what I've heard. I'm simply 7 years in, 5 years, 7 years in now this year. It's more will never do harm. There is no harm. There's no toxicity. There's no allergenicity. So if in your journey you're not seeing and experiencing what you were hopeful of, something significant, simply take more. I had a situation, I was just in Kuala Lumpur at a presentation with a whole bunch of diamonds, and two of them a couple of months ago had mentioned some issues they still had after using the molecules for a few years. They were taking 8 ounces a day, 4 cups. I said, take 6 cups, 12 ounces. They did, and I saw them and they said, everything's fine. Everything changed. So that little difference sometimes in taking more can have a monumental effect. So if in doubt, take more. It's that simple. And always factor in age and how unwell you are. So for me, I will start people on the 2 cups a day, 4 ounces, but that's the beginning for me. I want to get them to 4 cups, 8 ounces in that first 3 months, where them getting results is critical. And then we go from there, either up or down. They may be doing so well, we're able to then come back down. On the lifestyle, Dr. Lee and Dr. Nelson was talking about this. There are critical things for well-being, and the same thing applies whether you're on redox or not. It doesn't change. There are material necessities. There are amino acids, fatty acids. There's carbs. There's vitamins, minerals, trace minerals. Redox cannot correct a vitamin C deficiency or a vitamin D deficiency. It might help your digestion where you absorb a little more from the gut than you normally absorb, yes, but it's still not vitamin C and it's not vitamin D, as critical as they are to your health. So you do need to be focused on materials and redox. It just so happens that of all of them, as a single entity that you could take and experience profound change, there is no greater than redox. Nothing will, as a singular entity, give such a profound difference so quickly across so many areas in terms of your lack of wellness, if we can put it that way. And then I'll bow out now, Lee. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being with us, Ray, and jumping in and helping us off to a good start and sharing your wisdom with us. Enjoy your next meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
thank
to see
you.
you, Ray.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dick. Nice to meet you, Dr. Nelson. Bye for now.
Nice to meet you, sir.
In the last few minutes, I'd like to ask Dr. Nelson, how is it? Let's kind of dumb this down a little bit. How do you introduce this to people that don't know? When they start asking you, what is redox signaling and how does that work? What's your approach to that?
Well, I have been doing this a long time yet, like I said, about a year, and I've had some lessons to learn. I have been blown away with the science of it. It is impeccable. And so I would jump right into science and their eyes would glaze over. Even some of the doctors I would talk to really weren't up on that. And I had to do a lot of re-educating myself when I first heard about it. So I've had to stop the scientific part of it and just get down to the practical aspects of that it works. And I have mostly worked with people who have mentioned in conversation they've got a problem. They mentioned something about the medicines they're taking, or they're on this medicine's not working, or a side effect. Just common conversation with people, and I tell them, hey, I've got something that I think is going to be of benefit if you want to give it a try. And I have taken people where I've been at their house and I said, let's go into your bedroom there, and you got back pain, and I've got my Redox Gold with me all the time. I carry it with me everywhere. And we put that on there, and in 15 minutes or so, they've got relief. There's not a lot more selling to do. They like that. And I've done that with a fair number of people over the months that I've been doing this. So, but I'm learning more about the business side from my upline, Doug and Beth have been a wonderful help to me. And so I'm kind of going to school on them, on learning more and more about how to present this to people in a simple to understand way.
Well, I know that that's certainly been an issue with me. Is it's really easy to get excited about the science. We have to know that there is science. But we don't necessarily need to have to know it all to be able to talk to people. And
Right.
so that's been one of my Achilles heels, is I know the science so well that that's kind of a go-to conversation for me. But bringing it back to ground level, is an important thing as you help other people understand that it is real, that it works, and that they can share it with people. Dick, your thoughts on that, and then let's get ready to close here.
Yeah, I mean, I try to find out what their pain point is, and it may not be pain; it may be something other. I try to find out, are they feeling great about their health, or do they have concerns, and what are they? And then I offer a lifeline. I say if there was something that I knew about that I've worked with for a number of years and seen work on a number of people without side effects and reasonably priced, would you want to try it? And then I give them a video. I use tools. I don't try to do all the educating myself anymore, because I like you over educate. I, like you, have been enthralled with the science. I haven't written 4 books like you have, but I've read all 4 of your books. And really love the information in there. In fact, as you know, I just texted you this morning and asked you for an old PowerPoint that we put together a number of years back. But the science is there. There was a question in the chat about, are there studies that can be referenced, and there are. CScience.com is the site to go to for all of the science that has been done by or with at the request of ASEA. And then Redox Science is a site with just some great review articles on redox science and what that's all about. So if people are wondering if this is real, those are 2 great sites to send them to. And most of ASEA's research has been done really on getting a better handle on what the mechanism of action, what is it actually that happens to your cells, when you start to drink or put these molecules on the surface. And we've got plenty of studies to show that it does have an impact on oxidative stress, inflammation, that it has an effect on wrinkles, it has an effect on blemishes, it has an effect on a number of different things. But we don't study diseases because that's the realm of drug companies, and we're not a drug company. We don't want to get in trouble with the FDA, so we don't study blood sugar issues, diabetes, or any of those things, even though there's a plethora, that's a fancy word that means a lot, of people with a wide variety of diseases that see improvements when their body gets a hold of these molecules. But they're not a direct result of the molecules. They're a direct result of the body using these molecules to improve cellular communication, which improves cellular health, and then everything follows from that. So it's a much more natural way of enabling your body to get healthy, or get healthier anyway, over a period of time. And sometimes it's quick, sometimes it takes a little longer. I like to tell people that if they'll give this 3 to 6 months, it's very likely that they're going to see a significant benefit. Don't be impatient, and it's most likely going to you're going to most likely notice difference in the first half of that time period. Most people don't have to wait until 6 months out to see improvement. So I just offer them a lifeline. First, I find out, do they have any challenges? And I also talk to people about the business if they've got financial challenges. Occasionally I'll hold a hand out with a dollar bill and say, which would you like, more of these, or would you rather have better health? And kind of start a conversation that way, because the business is just as incredible as the product is. And it's because the product is so great that the business is great. So,
Well, we appreciate y'all being here, Dr. Nelson. I think my closing comment would be this, and I think if there's one point of confusion or pushback that I get the most of, it is almost always coming from people that have a drug mindset. We've got a Western medicine drug fix a problem mindset, that if I take an agent, it should fix a problem. And several times in our call tonight, we've talked about natural healing, and that there's no such thing as unnatural healing. And but that still runs counter to the cultural mindset that we have in our society, that is that healing comes from a drug and not from things that we do. And so when they ask questions, does it work for A or B or X or Y or Z? We're missing out on the idea that that's not what this is about. This is about cellular function. And everything that we're doing is about activating pathway genes that are related to our cell defenses, basically our anti-aging and longevity genes. And if those function better, then all the problems that you list, the ABC, XYZ things, improve to the extent that they can, given your health history and with all the water that's flown under the bridge already in your life. And so that's really what the point of this is the confusion of this goes away when we realize this is cellular function. This is activating pathway genes that are telling the cell what to do in response to certain stresses that it's experiencing in real life, wherever they come from. This is a kind of a one-to-many, and a drug mindset is a one-to-one mindset. And so that's an important differentiation. So we appreciate you, Dr. Nelson, for being on board, for believing those that talked with you and finding the experiences that you have personally, as well as those that you have. And thank you, Dick, for stepping in tonight to be a co-host with me. We will be back in the future. Actually, right off the top of my head, the schedule has changed. So keep tuned in to the Facebook sites as CU United for announcements on what the coming programs will be.
I think
The last thing we'll say
is Alan, I think, isn't it? Next Thursday, Alan Noble has got
Oh,
this.
that's correct. Yeah, Ellen Noble will be on next Thursday night.
Right.
The last thing we'll say is again, we repeat the idea that we are associates. We're distributors for a company called ASEA Global. We've emphasized it through this. We do not make claims to treat, cure, or diagnose diseases. This is a cellular health supplement that works in conjunction with your lifestyle and common sense to get you better. So thank you for being with us tonight. We will now sign off and we'll close the recording, and we'll see you next time we're here.
It's been a pleasure.
And an honor. Thank you.
You're
You
welcome.
bet.